Hey y'all, this is Billy from Perma Pastures Farm. All right, you never seen me in this setting before. It's nice outside, or, it's pretty nice. But I thought I'd just change up the scenery a little bit. And besides, I don't know that I've ever done a video inside the house, or at least none that I can recall. Typically, it's on the front porch because it's a beautiful setting, and frankly, I love being outside. Okay, a number of people have asked in the past why I don't do more of these, because I used to do quite a few of them in the past. And as of late, if you'll notice, our content has largely been, has always been about how to, but it's also, as of late, tried to be more upbeat. Mostly because, we got enough weird stuff going on in the status quo that I don't have to sit here, I shouldn't have to, every single day and talk about all the negative things going on in this world. Because frankly, you should already know about it. Okay, so that brings me to what's going on in this video. Check out, and I'm sure many of you have, check out what's going on in Kazakstan right now. In a nutshell, the government is basically giving license to the powers that shouldn't be to blast protesters. Why are they protesting? Well, in a nutshell, the fuel has gone through the roof, which means food has gone through the roof. You dig? Now, historically, if you go back and look, and this was known ever since the time of Plato, Aristotle, and they really started to put it into play during the time of Alexander the Great. That's when they took what I'm about to tell you and really put it into action. They realized that when you conquer a people, or when you subjugate a people, or when you rule a people, you only need to provide three things. Now, in the past, you've heard people say bread and circuses. Well, there's a little more to it than that. In a nutshell, and this is my observation, I'm not sure you'll ever find this in a history book, but you essentially need three things to keep a population subjugated: food, entertainment, and a reasonable expectation of security. You got to provide all three. If you remove one of them, then you start to get unrest. When you take two of them out of there, that's when you start getting revolutions. That's when you have a French Revolution. That's when you have a lot of nasty things that unfold when the powers that shouldn't be fail to provide two of those three things. Like I said, one goes out of whack, you got unrest. Two, it gets stupid. And that's what you see happening in a number of places. And historically, you've seen it happen throughout all of human history that we can cite. Now, right now, there's a number of us, I guess there's a number of us really in Western countries. Now, from what I understand of our demographics, I think the people watching us by and large are from Canada, United States of Amnesia, Australia, and parts of Europe. By and large, I think many of us think that these sorts of things don't necessarily happen in our backyard. But use Kazakhstan as your example. Fuel prices are through the roof. That place is about to jump off in the worst kind of way. Is it a color revolution? Yeah, possibly, could be. Is it a manufactured crisis? Probably, certainly to a lot of these things are. And believe me, from the top of my head, I can fill volumes of all the things I can personally cite. But we should all be asking critical questions at this point. And this is going to seem like no duh to most people out there. You should be asking, and you should have been asking, at least for the last 2 years, how secure am my food? How secure is my water? How secure is my security? You should have already been asking those questions, but if you're to the point now where it took you a while to get there, then maybe right now you should put a little less focus in the entertainment quadrant and put it more into the preparedness quadrant. Because, frankly, if you think Kazakhstan can't happen here, I got news for you. And if you think those welfare checks are going to go, or subsidies checks, or whatever it is you get from Uncle Sam, if you think they're doing it out of the kindness of their heart, they're not. They're doing it to appease you. There's no altruism in government. If you can find it, give me an example, because I can't seem to find any. Everything is done for a selfish motive. And their selfish motive when they give you these things is to pacify you, to keep you quiet. Remember, food, entertainment, and a reasonable expectation of security. In fact, it's so crazy. I mean, as I drive through Asheville every weekend, I have to go there for one reason or another. Take a look at the homeless people out there. And I put that in quotations. Take a look at them. If you think we're not a decadent society, ask yourself, how is it every single homeless person seems to have really nice shoes? How is it every homeless person seems to have a cell phone? They're holding up a sign and holding a cell phone at the same time. Well, that tells me that, you know what? We have quite a ways to fall. Unlike maybe a Kazakstan. Unlike some of these other places where they don't have as far to fall. Because I guarantee you the homeless, a majority of this planet, do not have cell phones and new shoes. That's a Western problem by and large, okay? So I'm saying all this, like I said, I'm not going to belabor this video. I just think it is time. If you've taken time to make a resolution, we are in the new year. It might be like so many people, hey, I'm going to lose weight or whatever the case may be. Maybe take a little bit of time out of that entertainment quadrant. Quit watching Netflix. Maybe watch a lot less of YouTube. Unless it's, channels that are going to help you do better in what it is you're trying to do. And put a little more effort into the nature of this status quo and where it is almost certainly going to go. That's really what I'm trying to communicate in this video. And folks, it's not a video where I just need to put out content because, believe me, we got no shortage of content here. It's not anything like that. I just thought I'd put out a little blurb because based on some of the conversations I've had over the past, I'm trying to find a polite way of saying this, so forgive me if I pause. It's not usually my strong point. Based on some of the conversations I've had in recent days, by and large, many of us do not have any expectation of what is going to happen. From a historical standpoint, I've often imagined what it was like if you were a pleb in Rome during the fall. Let me just kind of paint this picture for a little bit. Okay, so all of the aristocracy, the wealthy people in Rome, they knew it was coming down. So what did they do? They got on the first thing smoking over to Constantinople. And they told all the plebs, we'll be back. But none of the plebs got a hint when they were packing up all their valuables and taking them along. Hey, I might have an extended stay in Constantinople, okay? Because they knew that was going pretty good. What they didn't tell the plebs is that the northern barbarian hordes, the Visigoths and a number of others, they hadn't been paid. And they were coming to Rome. Yeah, and they were going to lay siege. So when you read some of the accounts of Edward Gibbon and fall into the decline of the Roman Empire, you find out that the Roman people, the plebs by and large, all of them by and large, had become so stupid that there were fish literally jumping up onto the bank. And because not only the aristocracy rolled out, but a lot of the slave class, they saw what was happening, they hit the bricks too. They become so stupid that fish were jumping on the banks and they had no idea how to clean a fish. They were still having games in the arena, in the Colosseum, still having gladiatorial combat. And he describes that from the stands, people were yelling down, how much for that meat? Meaning the gladiator that had just been murdered right there in the floor of the arena. That's how starving they were. But they were still stupid. Essentially, the Visigoths get in there, and to my understanding, they didn't even sack the place because they would have wound up in worse shape. Point being is that is the result of a decadent society. There's a really good article, and it was written years ago, called Schumpeter's Rome, as I recall. And he makes an overlay with everything that happened at Rome during the fall and everything that's happening in the United States, from the debasement of our currency to the depravity, you name it. And in every single metric, we line up with that. Now, the initial intent of this video was not to give you a doom and gloom picture of it, but you know what? Frankly, we're beyond the point where there is no way I know how to paint this in a pleasant way. I'm giving you a historical backdrop, a historical example of how things could potentially go for us, because we overlay with Rome almost perfectly, okay? Also consider, and I'll just leave you with this, during the Great Depression, depending on what source you look at, We had 90% of the United States that lived rurally. 10% lived in the city. And during that time, we still lost 8 to 10 million people to starvation, depending on what numbers you look at. Now, fast forward to modern day. Those numbers are flip-flopped. 90% live in the city, 10% live in the country. And of that 10% that live in the country, probably less than 1% of 1% are self-sufficient or anywhere close to it. Do you understand how minuscule that was? Now, you lost 8 to 10 million people at a time in America where 90% lived in the country, 10% lived rurally. Those numbers are swapped now. And we have people that are far less capable than they were then. So ask yourself of how this calamity could unfold, should things go sideways here. Look, at the end of the day, I guess what I'm trying to say, you can call this my public service announcement, if you will. In this new year, maybe take a little bit of time, just a little bit of time, to examine your life and the trajectory it's on. Examine the things you find important and ask yourself, well, are those things important to me because society told me they should be important? Is having that new car or the house I can't afford, are those things important because I've been told that this is the American dream? Or ask yourself, maybe I should ask critical questions about what I think is important, not what's been programmed into me, and make adjustments based on that. Okay, folks, this video already went a lot longer than I intended. So hopefully some of you find it a blessing, and hopefully I wasn't too brusque. These are tough subjects, and frankly, I'm holding back probably 70% of what I really think here. Maybe I should save this for Patreon and do something over there. I don't know. But yeah. Blessings to you and yours, and hopefully you make really wise and good decisions in these days. We'll see you next time.